Welcome to the Real Chili Podcast.
And the Golden Eagles of Marquette University in Milwaukee are bound for the Final Four for only the third time ever.
5 seconds left. Marquette down by one, trying to avoid the upset. Blue the drive, the left hand. It's good. 1 second to play. Vander Blue has put Marquette in front by one.
And I want to win every day as basketball players, as students, and I want to win every day, most importantly, as people.
All right, we're going live.
And good, late night for those of you on the East Coast. This is the Real Chili Podcast. Brian Henry and Pete Mohan with you. Just a two-man effort coming at you tonight after Marquette's 82-68 victory over UW Green Bay. Peter, how are we?
Well, I'm just basking in my correct takes that Koby is going to be a critical part of this offense.
I mean, for the duration of yours and my relationship, I've never been one to willingly concede to your takes because you've had some doozies over the years. But I got to hand it to you, and maybe that's why the others aren't on this podcast right now. They didn't want to handle your glow this evening, which is look, fair. It's story 1, 2, and 3 for everybody out here. If you tune in, it's Koby McEwen. Koby was the beginning, middle, and end as to why this game, fortunately, let's be real, this game was closer than we all probably wanted it to be. But Koby made sure it wasn't a squeaker.
Yeah, and let the record show that I've never been on, the feed Koby train. I simply have stated that out of necessity from other guys, not caring or being willing to carry the load offensively, that out of necessity, Kobe's going to have to carry that load a lot of times. And in this game, going got tough. Green Bay was hitting shots, hanging in there, and Koby was blow for blow with these guys. When the pipes started breaking and Pipes put up 22 for the Green Bay Phoenix, in case you were wondering, he was shooting the lights out. But Koby was right there with the answer whenever we needed him to offensively, and he played efficiently and within himself, and he frankly was our best player.
It is worth rattling off his stat line. Not that we want to sit here and do these all over these, but tonight, as Pete mentioned, Koby was at 28 points, in 37 minutes of action, which has been consistent through 5 games. He doesn't come off the court much, Pete. 10 of 16 shooting for 62.5%, 5 of 9 from 3, and he made all 3 free throws. Oh, by the way, tossing 3 boards and 4 assists. I mean, yeah, Pete, you said it before we started rolling. That sounds like a Marcus Howard stat line with a few fewer shots. I mean,
well, I don't see many Marcus Howard stat lines with 0 turnovers.
Exactly, and 0 turnovers. Thank you
0 turnovers. That's the craziest part for me. I mean, his usage was off the charts in this game. It had to be. I mean, he had the ball in his hand a lot of times. And like I've been saying, all we've been asking for is efficient play in the minutes that he has out there. And he was nothing but efficient.
I think that the attitude, and I'm sure as everybody was, rolling through MU basketball Twitter tonight, this isn't a feeling of some hesitancy towards, Koby getting a large share of the offense. Our tentativeness towards that isn't, exclusive to just some of the people on this podcast. It's out there. I mean, the people are talking about it. I hear it from friends, other people outside this group. And Pete, it's not fair, especially now, right? Sitting here, yes, he struggled a year ago. We know that. There's no doubt. He went from the primary option, or one of the primary, at Utah State, where he's averaging over 15 points a game, sits out a year, and then gets dropped next to the most dynamic scorer in the country. And some people don't handle it. He didn't play great as a result of that, and I
think some of the Hauser fans out there might say that there's a similar dynamic 100%. In that relationship as well.
And that's completely reasonable to expect that. Now, I don't think it's natural to assume that, okay, it's going to completely turn around. But look, this was a guy that averaged over 15 a game, in Division I basketball, granted in the Mountain West Conference or wherever the heck, wherever the heck Utah State's playing in.
But as an underclassman starter.
Exactly. This is he's a fifth-year senior now. This is the question I want to ask you on this Tuesday night, Pete. Can we lean on Koby to be a 13 to 15 point per game guy this year? Do you think he's that? Because I'll tell you what, if he is, this team's a lot better for it, especially at these efficiency numbers. They are. We all need to shut the hell up and stop complaining. He took, like you said, great shots tonight, in rhythm, good looks, and they were big shots too, especially when Green Bay was making their runs.
Well, I think first of all, he looks to at least have improved his baseline catch and shoot abilities. His stroke looks pretty confident. I don't think it's as archy as it has been in the past. It looks a little.
He had a couple good parabolas tonight where that thing was. I mean, he's shooting at the moon, but yeah.
But, I mean, he does look more confident in just those regular catch and shoot situations where before it almost seemed like he was only really in rhythm when it was like, a fadeaway with a guy in his face and he hits those crazy, last minute threes. But in general, it looks like he's rounded out his perimeter shooting skill set. But I think here's the overall hypothesis that we need to test, Brian, is what we were saying before is, would Koby not playing alongside Marcus make him a better player, or at least accentuate his strengths better? And I think the answer so far is absolutely yes. Granted, he did have time, to develop over the summer and got older and more in the flow of the offense. But I think that is the most obvious difference to me. I don't know. What do you think?
That's completely fair. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, okay, every trend that's going on this season. We're going to talk about Justin Lewis in a minute. Obviously, he's the hero the other night. Didn't make a massive impact today. You're going to get that from freshmen. There do need to be some things you can fall back on. I think I think initially going into the season, a lot of people, I'll throw myself into it. I don't want to say completely closed-minded, but might have made their minds up on Koby. And we're 5 games into this season now. There's only 1 game left in conference play. And he has proven himself through those 5 to be our best offensive option, from a consistency standpoint.
Well, and also remember back to last year, what I was saying too about those crazy shots is it wasn't always Marcus that was stepping up in the moment last year in a lot of those games.
He
hit a lot of clutch shots last year.
The game at Xavier, he hit monster buckets down the stretch and in overtime. If you remember when Marquette won that game there, huge shots. You're right. He just didn't do it all season, but he had moments. You're absolutely right. The guy can score the ball. I don't think anyone's.
The beauty, though, of this roster is that it's so deep that I don't think you have to have one go-to guy. Like
100%.
I would be happy with Wojo drawing up for a three-pointer for Kane in the corner all day. I would be happy if Jamal Kane was taking the last shot. I would be fine if Koby was taking the last shot. We've seen from the Wisconsin game that we should be happy if Justin Lewis is taking the last shot. DJ Carton had a couple huge drives, and he looked, again, comfortable out there today. I'm comfortable with him having the ball in his hands late in the game. I mean, that makes a team really tough to guard in late game situations when you have a lot of guys that maybe they're not individually really great offensive threats, but that's what a team is. And, that's how you make an offense that's greater than the sum of the parts. If each guy can just do his job and hit the shots that he's supposed to make for his position, then that's hard to guard. And that's what we have depth, and that's been evident.
And speaking of that, we should pivot to it. We're going to continue to talk about Koby, but number 2 to him tonight was Dawson Garcia, and I know that was extremely welcome for everybody out there to see him play nearly 30 minutes of game time, score 18 points, grab 7 boards. Look, Dawson's looked great against Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Eastern Illinois and UW Green Bay, right? he struggled against Oklahoma State and Wisconsin. It's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous for freshmen. I'm not going to come on here and tell you that's the greatest sign in the world, but I'm also not going to lie and be like, oh God, he's going to struggle against every game against Big East. But he has room to grow.
I believe in the Wisconsin game, he still put up 8 rebounds.
He did,
even in a quiet role. And then again here today, just a casual roll out of bed, 18 and 7 on 7 of 13 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3-point range. Like, if that's your baseline Dawson Garcia, that's all you need to know as to why the guy is a rising star. I mean,
no doubt. And it's very black and white. Friday will be a great opportunity for him. They need him. I'm not saying it's got to be 18 and 7, 20 and 10, whatever. They need him to play a significant role in the offense against elite competition. That doesn't mean be the leading scorer. That doesn't mean, but you need to be effective and draw attention from the defense and be able to put the ball in the basket from time to time. I really do think he's going to get there. I don't think this is like a story developing. It's like, oh, can Dawson play against elite competition? Yeah, he can. The guy's 6'10", 11. He's got length. He has a terrific touch, great footwork. Yeah, he ran into a tough spot against an NBA player. A lottery pick was guarding him against Oklahoma State. And there's some huge bodies on the court against Wisconsin. It's a tough play for the first time he was guarding, freaking schmucks in the Minneapolis Public School League last year. Like, I'm just saying, it's a big jump going to Wisconsin's front line.
I think another thing, too, that we should mention, too, from this game, and, I'm sort of realizing as I'm digesting the game more, is that this, I think, was Theo John's best game of the season.
Yeah, no doubt.
A rebounding high of 12 boards, 3 offensive, 2 assists, steal, and 3 blocks.
The 3 blocks were, yeah.
3 blocks were nice, and he did have 2 turnovers, which is par for the course with him.
He rolls out of bed.
It's better than 6 turnovers, so
yes.
I'll take that. But yes. I mean, 4 of 6 shooting. Theo played exactly what we need. If Theo plays like that, 8 and 12 with 3 blocks against UCLA, I think that we have a really good shot.
And it's because of what you just said. It made it really took till the second half to where it clicked with me that, hey, is Justin? Have I missed Justin Lewis? And you realize like, oh, he hadn't scored. He ends up finishing the game 1 for 5. Did you notice I think they only got him to 2 or 3 post-ups, and doubles came on him. Did you notice that from Green Bay?
I did. Yeah.
When he caught the ball in the butt, now granted, what does that mean? But he kicked out of it and he picked up a couple of assists as a result. I even think Koby benefited on a couple of his threes directly on kickouts from Justin. But here's the thing.
That's what creates offense.
Right.
That's forcing double teams.
Right. Absolutely.
If you have guys, and that's kind of what we were talking about before, like there's a lot of guys who are pretty decent within their role, but maybe not a lot of guys that are like, this guy demands a double team, to slow him down. But the fact that a team even has to game plan for that on a guy who's 5 games into his basketball career is huge, because that transforms and morphs the defense, and that's what allows for passing lanes and open shots. So
and it will be exceptionally interesting to see how UCLA guards it, right? Like, let's be real, right? Green Bay, who played their asses off tonight and shot the hell out of the ball, physically a little more limited, right? You're going to go play a UCLA team that's going to have size and is going to be able to do different things to make life difficult on you. I'll be fascinated to see, right, how when Justin comes into the game. He came in quick. You notice Wojo subbed him in, I think, 3 minutes into the game. He didn't even wait to the under 16 until Garcia went to the bench, and then he came out. So
that's another thing too. Is it seemed like, and I don't have the minutes pulled up here on the ESPN box score, but
I got him. I got him in front of me.
It was a short bench, was it not? Like it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't know. It did. I mean, Torrance got some run in the first half, but like some guys were saying on Twitter, this would be a good chance for Akano to get in there, get some run, knock some rust off it, and he really didn't get much run.
No,
and Elliott didn't get a ton of run. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give him to you. Akano got 3 minutes, Elliott 13, Lewis 18, Torrance 18, Jamal Cain 22, and then everybody's 25 and up from there. Carton 26, Garcia 29, John 33, McEwen 37. So it was actually pretty much the same rotation numbers. A little more DJ Carton. DJ Carton started again. played 26 minutes. Samir Torrance only played 18. Greg Elliott played 15 minutes the other night against Wisconsin, 13 here. I think they're kind of finding their spot for him. And they started Greg tonight. Greg got an opportunity to start the game. So that was, I'm sure a reward because he was perfect the other day against Wisconsin, and that'll be interesting to see where they go forward with that. Wojo has options. I don't think we've found the singular starting lineup or even necessarily the best lineup yet for this team. I think it's still evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about depth too is that it allows you to craft lineups for the matchup that you have. And I think that
that's fair.
There's obviously going to be guys that have a minute's. There's no way that some of these guys are getting less than 25 minutes unless they're in foul trouble. I mean, Garcia, Carton, McEwen, John, those 4 guys should be getting 25 minutes a game.
Yeah,
and Lewis as well. Should be up there. So as those guys continue to really emerge as the best and most key players, I mean, Wojo's going to continue to go to them, and the bench minutes are going to tighten up, especially as we creep towards Big East season.
No doubt. And look, it's out there. If anybody watched it tonight, Marquette opens up Big East play with Creighton. Mm-hmm. If you watch Creighton, Kansas, that is going to be a challenge when Marquette opens up league play with the Blue Jays. They look. If you haven't seen Creighton yet this year, you will be in for a treat when we open conference play. But you know what? That's how it goes, and that's the only way you're going to grow is go play the best teams, and that's what it is. I'm glad they put UCLA on the schedule. UCLA was one of the hottest teams in the country going into the shutdown at the end of last season. I think they had won 11 of their last 12 games until things had gotten shut down. So
I'm looking at their team makeup here on KenPom, see if I can see anything. It looks like they're led by sophomore point guard Tiger Campbell. Mm-hmm. Looks to be one of their best players. Senior Chris Smith, power forward as well, power forward center type guy. But I don't know much about UCLA other than Mick Cronin's their coach. And
which is still unfathomable to this day every time you say it. I cannot believe Mick Cronin's the coach at UCLA, but okay, sure.
Hey, I think he's a better coach than some of those other idiots out in LA
doubt.
Recently.
That doesn't initially seem like his personality, but you know what? It's worked out, and he's I mean, obviously the run towards the end of last season demonstrated he's getting through there. You know what I think the story of that game will be, Pete, and I think it's been the story all season. It didn't feel as massive tonight, but the numbers actually kind of look, Marquette defensively through 5 games, this is as good as they've looked under Wojo. They held another team under 40% from the floor tonight, even though I know we'd sit back and go, God, it felt like Green Bay was making everything. They ended up finishing 8 for 27 from 3, 39% from the floor as a team. Coming into this game, it updates of it. Marquette had the 10th best opponent field goal percentage in the country. Look, and we acknowledge after that Wisconsin game, right? Like Badgers missed a bunch of open shots like that. All that stuff gets rolled into it. But look, trend 5 games isn't nothing, right? So, I mean, that's a very positive thing that at least to kind of hang your hat on team defense wise to give yourself a chance to, compete in these games. Like I don't know a ton about UCLA either. I'm imagining it's going to be a tough matchup and it'll be a challenge for them. If you can guard, you give yourself a chance to win.
It's saying here, so UCLA, KenPom has both offensive and defensive rankings. So UCLA's offense seems to be better than its defense, 18th ranked offense, 53 ranked defense, whereas Marquette, the 25th defense and 43rd offense. So KenPom recognizes that defense is our strength over our offense, and the opposite being true for UCLA.
I'll tell you what,
seems like they play a pretty slow pace, actually. 266th slowest team. So could be a chance for the under to hit here for those of you betting out there.
Oh, speaking of that, tough night for the gamblers tonight if you took Marquette in the spread. Although if you followed Pete, you got to put these out for the people. You're 3 for 3 on your last over under Marquette bets. So I'm just saying.
I know, and I don't even have a sports book, and
I'm just saying you
throwing
may
out
want
3 tips to everyone.
Yeah, you kind of just sharing it to the group here. I've only taken your advice once. Thank you. It wasn't this game. I did for the Wisconsin one. Maybe you should start sharing that for the. I'm just saying, don't be selfish and hog that info for yourself. If you've got over under info and good vibes to pass to people, I would encourage you to do so. Those of us that took Marquette and the points tonight were idiots. Never should have done it. But it would seem like a layup, right? Like Green Bay gives up. I think they were defensively, they're terrible. Mm-hmm. And I guess we did. We scored 82 points. It's not like we didn't put points on the board. But I don't know. This felt like a 90-plus slam dunk, and then you run away and win by 25. And
I'll tell you what, though. This game is like in previous years, this is maybe the game that goes to OT that we squeak or we win by. You know what I mean?
If Koby doesn't do what Koby does, it does.
UW Green Bay played hard enough and made enough shots to make this a ball game. Yep. And like you said, Koby helped fight them off. Dawson and Theo, a couple other key players tonight. But really, this was the Koby show. And, props to Green Bay. It was a solid effort. I do want to go back to one thing we were talking about. I was listening to Kobe's interview after the game. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not. What you got?
They were asking him about, just like the team having a defensive identity and everything. Mm-hmm. And Kobe said that Wojo told the team, I guess, going into the year that this is a defense and rebounding team. And that if they're going to win, it's going to be because of their defensive and rebounding, and that those are going to create any easy shots that might come that will, help propel the offense, but it's not going to be through offense. This team's going to win through defense. And it seems like they've embraced that so far.
I mean, it certainly would make life a lot easier, right? Getting run out layups, it's a heck of a lot easier than scoring against a set-up half-court defense. I would be all for Marquette's, identity to become defense and rebounding. I think we see a lot of, consistent, good teams year in and year out that, ride off that exact same thing because that's everybody knows, right? Shooting can come in and out for a night. Mm-hmm. You can turn the ball over stretches, but if you rebound the ball and play defense, those are all effort things, right? It's intelligence and effort. Yep. And if you do, those can carry every single game and carry to stay in a game that even if you're not playing well enough. I would be all for that. I would be very much all for that.
And I was tweeting you guys, or I was tweeting online and texting you guys that I think that our matchups with Creighton this year will take on a whole nother feel and look than what we've been used to. Because in the past with Creighton, it's like you feel like you have to shoot 50, 60% just to beat them because you knew that they were just going to
shoot you out of the gym.
Yes, just destroy you.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to be able to go into that matchup with a defense that can at least challenge them a little bit. I don't know, they were challenged by Kansas a little bit today.
For sure, but I would say the big thing to that, though, Pete, is they play fast in doing that. Like that's going to be another – I'll be interested to see what you just said. UCLA plays at a slower pace. Obviously, Wisconsin did. The Oklahoma State game was not a frantic pace. Creighton will turn it into a track meet, and they will shoot in transition. And I'll be very interested to see – obviously, all of our young guys get dropped into that environment. Now, it's weird. There won't be 20,000 people in the, whatever the name
Quest
of the damn
or whatever. I don't know.
Quest, Fords, I can't remember. But anyways, that's a wild place to play. And so it'll be dead silent, but you got to still go in there and do the job. No, I can't wait to see it. The next two, Friday night, I believe it's 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So a little Pac-12 After Dark on the Pac-12 network against UCLA. So make whatever arrangements you need to make.
Let me throw out a tip to the pod listeners here.
Yeah. What do you got?
I can't remember. Someone else shared this on Twitter that apparently the Pac-12 network is contained in Sling's premium or like Premier Sports package or something like that, which you are able to sign up for a free 3-day trial of.
Oh, well, there you go.
Tip is sign up for a Sling free 3-day trial, catch the game on Pac-12 networks and
shut that shit down.
Shut that shit down.
There you go.
That's the avenue that I'm probably going to pursue.
I was actually just about to I need to figure out how to get Pac-12 network at home without drastically raising my cable bill. So let's see what.
Yeah. So to go back to the betting thing, Brian, I don't know what the under is, but it's always other factors against what Vegas sets. And I don't really like to look at the number, It's just a sense of all the other factors without looking at the number. I mean, if it's a really juicy number, then you got to say that looks good. But my vibe right now is under. This is going to be a 60-59 battle. I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger as to who's going to win.
Well, I was going to say, that's I'm buying that. I got to see what the number comes out as, though, because I got to see what the rest of the suits out there put together, because they're looking for chumps like you and I coming from all over the place.
Check this out. I just peeped the chat. We got a sparse crowd today because of the.
Well, it's freaking. We're 20 minutes to midnight on the East Coast.
To be honest, no one cares about this game right now, unless
absolutely not.
But Zach Guerin was back in the chat tonight, and he asked about how to watch this game. So hopefully we helped him out there. And
yeah, there you go.
Our pal Kevin Botting is also here, and Steve Lavin said the ATM was open after Kobe's bank in 3. But wouldn't you be more likely to use an ATM if a bank was closed? Odd phrasing by Lavin there.
Wow, Kevin, it's a great point.
That is a great point. Lavin needs to get his financial technology thoughts.
By the way, and what weird scheduling has happened where Steve Lavin calls all of our games? I'm not against it. I do actually enjoy him. I think he's fairly insightful, but it has been weird that he's called all the games. And look, and everybody, I think I tried to make this clear the other day. I'll keep reiterating it and it's especially happening on Marquette's games. The announcers are not in the building for these freaking games, so it is incredibly challenging for them to figure out some calls. I don't know if you noticed, Pete, again, the clock was off again tonight by about a second and a half for the majority of the game for stretches, which means wherever they're running their score bug, they're not getting a sync from the building, and someone's just trying to match it. So not that big of a deal when it's midway through the first half and it's a 5-point game. But as we saw in that Wisconsin game, that was a big deal because it made
confused.
Right. It confused the shit. And it did. It looked like the clock clearly stopped before he was fouled. Well, actually, it's not synced with the building. Those are things. When the pandemic world we live in, this is the TV production's taking a hit. They don't have the majority of those people aren't there that are normally on site and in the building. So
in that case, can we recommend a small picture-in-picture of the actual clock behind it?
I've honest to God was wondering that if that would actually be better. The old
continue to be an issue.
Old school early 90s NBA and NBC basketball, and just put the cropped score in the corner off the clock.
I was going to ask you a question. You would be the one that would know the answer to this. This was just it got caught up in the Wisconsin discussion, about the clock at the end of the game.
Right.
People were talking online about what was going on because, of course, the Big Ten fans were all, "Oh, Wisconsin got jobbed" and all that nonsense. But someone mentioned that if it's an NBA arena, that they have technology where the clock is actually tied to the referee's whistle. And if the ref blows, the clock immediately stops. It's not a man.
Correct. So for all NBA games, same thing. Referees wear a pack, and they're the ones that actually physically start the clock when it's inbounded. And then same thing like that when they're able to freeze it, it goes off whistles. So they've completely taken it out of. Now they do that for the NBA. I would assume since the technology's in the building that they do, but I couldn't guarantee. That would be an interesting thing to ask. I'm sure someone in Marquette Athletics could probably speak to that, but I would imagine the Fiserv is set up for that they would more than likely do that because that's how you eliminate any, for two of us from Michigan and the handful of people that are out there, the Spartan bobbing of scoreboards. If those can remember a football reference from 20 years ago, but that's how they try to avoid that. Obviously didn't happen in that game, but that wouldn't be an issue because normally their score bug would be on site. They plug right in and it's connected into the arena, and that's what we would see on screen. Gotcha. But is what it is. Pete, what do you got for the junk drawer as we wrap it up? Anything interesting? We hit the upcoming opponent. We talked a little shop. No outrageous commercial. There were no outrageous commercials tonight that caught my eye. I'll be honest. I can just keep it simple too. I had a ton of fun watching Iowa and North Carolina. Hawkeyes shoot the living shit out of the ball, and Carolina threw 3 punches right back and nearly caught them, but big win for Iowa. And over my shoulder, as I still make sure, Illinois, they're up by 13 with 2 minutes. Illinois has looked. Whew.
Illinois up 13.
Yeah, they've been up. They've been comfortably ahead the entire game. It doesn't seem like Duke's made much of a push to cut it close. So a couple big wins, and then tomorrow night. Actually, no, Pete. I know how we're ending the show. Every Marquette fan's favorite game is on the schedule tomorrow night. The Michigan State Spartans on the road at Virginia. It's the Hauser Bowl. If you want to have 2.5 hours of salt just dumped into your eyeballs, where you're going to hear that story relitigated the entire night, tune in. It'll be delicious. Who can't wait to hear about that? Marcus Howard's going to be in just freaking crushing popcorn, listening to all the shit. Whoever's calling that game, Billis and whomever. Oh, my goodness. The Hauser Bowl tomorrow night.
My money's on Joey.
Oh, I think Michigan State's a better team. No doubt.
I also mean, if there's any one-on-one action between.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think
you were always anti-Sam, pro Joey, though. You always were.
I was always pro Joey. I just think he's a little more physical, a little more willing to mix things up in the paint, and I respect that in a player.
You thought Sam was a liability on defense at all phases of his 3 years, despite his offensive and rebounding prowess. You didn't like him defensively. But granted, look, let's be real. All the teams he was on were miserable defensively. Not that was solely his fault, but they weren't good.
That's one of the most interesting things now is just like using this year where they just like come out, season starts, and like it's not a progression thing. It's like they come out and this is a better defensive team.
Yep.
And like that. There's one thing about that, and it's not Wojo like flipping a switch. That's just roster composition. And so to be able to now look back with this team that we have currently as our lens to look back on those Hauser and Howard and Rousey teams and really put a critical eye to, okay, those teams were both by the eye and data precipitously worse defensive teams.
Yeah.
And then you can start to pick it apart from there, but that's already apparent. So then it just becomes where you want to point the finger as to what the issue was. Theo John has kind of been a mainstay. I mean, he's had foul issues and injuries and stuff, but he's pretty much been the same guy in the middle there. So it's been those other pieces that were the issue.
We will see how it continues to develop. Friday night, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, Marquette at UCLA, Pac-12 Network. Pete, it's a Friday. I imagine we'll be back on here with some group of guys to react to the game, maybe with a few beverages deep. Considering the time of the night, it should be fun.
I got a 6-pack of 5-hour energies already.
There you go. It'll be late. We'll have a good time watching it, and go Marquette. Why not? Get to 5-1 potentially going into conference play. Thank you very much for the handful of people tuned in live to this. For those listening on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever you're listening to, thanks for listening to the Real Chili podcast. We'll be back for the next one. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you very much.